right, let's rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome to the April 2nd Wayne County Commissioners meeting. Just think if it had been April 1st, all the little jokes and barbs that would be flying back and forth by now. It would be a really special day. All right, we're going to start with Craig Eason. We're going to talk a little bit about the technology in this room and where he thinks we might need to go to be ready to broadcast live meetings.
This is the proposal from River Systems.
Thank you.
And that is for one neat bar and a tablet with the hardware and power adapters and the help desk parts replacement and software updates. Now that would be over a 3-year period. On that third page, it has the pricing broke out.
Okay.
So the total cost, if we went with River Systems over 3 years, would be $24,552.
I'm going to the dentist.
I mean, we're doing the same thing for, over 3 years for $17,000. Well, no, less than that. $6,900 for what we currently have now. So currently we can record meetings and push them up to YouTube where they could stay there. That would satisfy the bill. If we wanted to do something like the neat bar with River Systems, have them come in, we would be live streaming to their site, and they would also store that as well.
So we can't just buy the cameras?
Well, we probably could. Like I said, their River Systems is wanting to come in. They're wanting to look at what we got. They're wanting to set it up. They're wanting to do it all.
And so, and to do it all, they want $25,000.
Yeah. So, well, technically they want $11,592. But then they won't touch us unless we go with Zoom for Government. Right now we are on Zoom Workplace Pro with a webinar license. That costs us about $23,000 a year for that. A government plan for Zoom is $360 a month.
Of
So,
course it is.
That's
Because just put government on it, because
Yeah.
we have unlimited funds.
right. Yeah. So in the back, I put in the very last page the differences between what we have now and what Zoom for Government is. Basically, we get a little bit better encryption, and all of our media is stored in U.S. servers.
Okay, but
So,
the whole intent here is for it to be available to the public, so why would we need encryption? Talking about for special.
yeah, just the live stream would be encrypted. We wouldn't have to worry about anybody, hacking it halfway in between, and then, it's DoD level encryption is what it is.
But we're recording them and then uploading it to YouTube is the intent, correct?
Right, that's what we're doing now, but then we would be live streaming at the same time.
But
So
Be live streamed and then it would be available on their site.
on their platform.
so my question is to Ron then, if what we're doing or plan to do, does that meet the minimum requirements by law?
It's hard to tell, but it seems to me to be statutory requirements. Because that point, it's available on YouTube for a duration that the YouTube customer can determine. So theoretically, I guess it's out there indefinitely.
Right.
Yes.
I mean,
Right.
And we could also have it on our own website, available through our own website.
I really don't want to do that because we have to keep them for 90 days. So I don't know how much storage 90 days of meetings would cost us. So, you know, YouTube is definitely a platform that we could keep it.
Talk so much.
Right, yeah, they were, 10-minute meetings.
Have you had any conversations with Whitewater TV about what they're doing with like the city and?
Right, I have not yet. I have not talked to Eric. I will reach out to him and see what he is offering us. I didn't know that was even on the table until about a week ago, so.
I know WCTV, I know they're putting together packages for government agencies starting July 1st. And I do know that any government agency that doesn't go with them, they're not going to come and
Right.
record or view anymore. So I would really like for at least them to be in that conversation.
Oh, absolutely.
And maybe kind of see what because I know they're putting together packages for all the other government agencies throughout Wayne County.
Right.
And maybe have them come in. You guys, I would be okay if it's all right with these guys. You guys kind of talk and kind of see where they're at and let us know.
Cost wise.
Yeah, definitely
Right.
cost-wise, because like I said, if it's cheaper than $25,000, over the next 3 years.
Is that an ongoing cost then? Or is that
Well, after the 3 years, we'd have to renew maintenance, and then it could be higher, it could be lower, but never would be lower, but it could be higher.
And this is partially because the cameras that we bought under the
Um,
remodel are not
Yeah, so,
compatible or good enough to do the live streaming or tracking the speaker.
right, it's the tracking. That's the big thing with these. Now, I don't know if they can be manually tracked. I'm pretty sure the software will let us manually track,
But then you have to pay somebody.
but then you have to have somebody in a director's chair,
Mhm.
moving, zooming, doing whatever. But I do believe we can make them move, but they're not like the owl where whoever's talking, it'll zoom into you. Now this neat bar will.
Can we just go back to the owl?
We good?
And if we're meeting up here, we can put it up here. If we're meeting back there, we
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, absolutely.
But that's what
I really
this-
hate to do that. We just
That's
spent-
what this neat bar does too.
Right.
It has
I
array
understand.
of cameras.
But this is $24,000.
No, you could buy the neat bar ourselves and replace.
Yeah, we could. Like I said, when I reached out to River Systems, Zach Cook was like, "Yes, let me do this." This is Tim Meadows, I think now.
Well, let's
you know,
look at that as an option of just buying the camera.
Right, just buying it, and they run about $5,000 a piece. So I wouldn't think it would be too hard to hook up to our system. Like I said again, I don't know. They were really pretty happy when they knew that we had the Shure audio. They were happy to hear that, so it integrates well with Shure audio. So, but I am confident as of right now we can record meetings as is, and that would satisfy the need for the bill. The YouTube channel is already created. It's already attached to Archive Social.
But when you say record, you're also viewing it live at the same time.
Yeah. So, well, yes and no, because what we'll do is we'll send out the Zoom webinar link, so anyone who wants to view live or participate could. That link will be right there. They can open up Zooms on their phone, their laptops, whatever they got. If they have a question, they can raise their hand or whatever we allow them to do. And then after that meeting's over, then it gets uploaded to YouTube, and then they can go to YouTube and see the video for 90 days.
Now, will that link be any different than the link that, like when I zoom in or vary, that can?
That personal link may change once, but once we start using the webinars as our main platform, we will have our own link, so we can put it just on all of the notices, all of the meeting minutes. We can just put it down there, and you'll be able to click on it and connect to the meeting.
But participants, council members, commissioners would need to be able
Yes, they will have a
Different.
different link. You will,
Okay.
yeah.
That's what I was.
So yeah, so if you're somewhere off site and we'll still see your face because you will be logging in as a presenter, not an attendant.
Okay.
So, but for the public, we won't be able to see. They'll just be able to see us.
Change your ability. You'll see. It's a whole different statute.
Right. Right.
As long as we can see and hear them.
Well, as long as there's two of you here, and then
Right,
one is off-site, then that's fine,
but they have to,
They have to
be
be
able to see and hear.
in real time.
Right. Okay.
So
So what about the existing system and the software?
So I've asked Rick Funk to remember the issue here is that the software or something doesn't allow those cameras to track the array of microphones that we have. That was the original intent. So if I'm talking here and this microphone is pointed towards me, the camera would come
That's
towards
how
me. Yeah,
it knows where to look.
that's the way we're
The
supposed to.
software we have now does not.
We don't, so
Something
I've asked
doesn't
Rick,
allow it.
I've asked Rick to explore a quote, either replace the cameras or replace the software for both. But, I mean, these cameras, as Craig said, we can track them manually, but obviously you have to sit there and do it.
right, and again, I think that's what WCTV is wanting to do. They're wanting a little director's spot over there where they have a tablet to where they don't have to bring their cameras in. They can just have somebody walk in, sit down, and start basically directing the meeting.
My guess is as you get closer to July 1, there's going to be a deer in the headlights reaction to a lot of public entities. And,
Yes.
we're going to start seeing, more finite proposals coming or gelling.
Absolutely.
So I think we're a little ahead of the game. Steve, are we comfortable? We have a list of the potential agencies. I think you and I went over one time here that are using our room or would.
Am I comfortable? Not yet.
Well, obviously, that during the headlights reaction, they add to that list.
That's right. And I know, like when you talk to Eric, I mean, he'll want to know, how many meetings a month are we talking and that sort of thing. So we'll kind of have to have that.
Well, the language of that bill is that it just applies to this room,
Yeah, it's
which
facilities.
doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but.
I assume they don't want us to have to outfit multiple rooms just because of the expense, but it still is interesting language.
I think I'm probably right with that was the intent, but they probably could have made the language a little bit more clear as to the intent. But, for example, the health board used to meet over their own conference room. So that wouldn't have been televised. Now they meet here, and so it will be televised.
Well, they don't have a conference room.
I know, that's why I say, when we first set that up, they had their own conference room.
Okay,
But
so,
they had internet capability, so they would not have been excluded from the act. I mean,
Yeah, but with that law reading that,
it's
this
if they
room
use
only.
this room, the commissioner and
I mean,
council.
I agree with you. I think the intent was, if it qualifies as a meeting or a public meeting,
public agency.
regardless of where it occurs, it should happen, but
But the statute does
it
not
doesn't say that. And the state won't clarify it.
So, Craig, your first mission, should you decide to accept, is to make sure that the current infrastructure that we just outlined is available and working.
Okay.
Then we need for you to get with WCTV, find out exactly what they're talking about and what a quote might look like, and which entities working with Steve would need to be covered by that.
Okay.
Then we need the alternative of the cameras, the new cameras from these guys. And then working with Rick Funk to see if there's a fix using the existing cameras.
the servers over
I
to
did.
sheriff's
Yeah,
too.
so you get all the things.
He hedged his bet just a little bit.
And so what
I'm
would
so glad I sent
I'm
out that
sorry.
second email.
That was just too good to pass up.
so what would be the ongoing variable cost then for this one, $360 a month, or is it?
Yeah, so this would cost us, I'm gonna put it on here. Yeah, so it'd be $322 a month for this system, and then $360 a month for Zoom for Government.
But we don't go.
Yeah, so it'd be like six.
Right.
Do what?
They'll only do this if we go to Zoom.
Yeah, we have to go to Zoom for Government.
So that makes, what, 682?
682 a month, and we're currently doing it for 192 a month, just with our Zoom webinars and our existing.
So about $500 a month difference.
And so you're fairly comfortable that we would not have to, at least initially, go to Zoom for
Yes.
Government?
Yeah, I'm confident that if the next meeting, we record it, I'm confident that it can be recorded, be joined by anybody who has the link, and then uploaded to YouTube and be available to everybody. So,
Are you able to do that with that confidence, to record
Yeah.
that meeting by just using an OWL? And then if we change the cameras,
Yes.
it would just still work. So we could try it using the OWL.
right, because the main thing is Zoom. I mean, that's
Right.
basically how we're getting everybody gathered. Zoom doesn't care what camera you use.
Okay.
So
The-
why don't we practice a few times
Yes,
here in the next
absolutely.
month? Occasionally using the OWL and then
Okay.
using what we have existing here.
Okay, sounds good.
And a totally unrelated issue, which is, that you consider, I'm not saying you should or shouldn't, but you may have the ability to have a facility usage charge for this room, depending on who the user is, now, what their relationship is with government or the county government.
Right. Of course, the vast majority of the ones we're talking about, and Steve's putting together a list, are
Yeah, they appear to be.
Wayne County governmental entities, so unless they have their own funding stream,
Yeah.
doesn't make a lot of sense
Yeah, so
to
it-
charge them.
It looks like that we're gonna have to, if we decide to go with River Systems, and again, this is just with one camera, if we get two, it's gonna be a little more. But it'd be an addition to the budget of $17,627 over the next 3 years, so
Right.
it is fairly salty.
We'll need to get council involved in the decision-making process, but I wanna go to them with a recommendation or two, so. You know where to go from here.
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
and let's get back together next week if you're ready, and
Okay.
let me know if.
Yeah, we can start recording meetings next week.
Okay, well, I'm talking about gathering some of the information.
Okay.
Cost information and so on, so.
Yep.
Uh,
Yeah, when I get back over there, I'll get a hold of Eric,
Okay, good.
touch base with him.
Now, in a somewhat related topic, I was reading through some of the legislation that's still currently active, and it looks like there is an addition to a bill that would eliminate franchise fees. So, that's what we've used
We've always had that every
to
year.
support WCTV. But this is late in the game for it still to be actively being discussed. So we'll see.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very
Yeah,
much,
and
Craig.
I'm not partial to any solution. So, I just want what's best for us to get the bill covered, and so if whatever you guys agree to when we get all this, I mean, it's no difference to me.
And were you able to get the time clock ordered?
Yes, time
Identified?
clock is ordered. I have the instruction booklet. As soon as it gets here, we'll get it in.
Good. Thank you.
So,
All right.
Thank
Have a
you.
wonderful afternoon.
Thank you. Yes, you do.
Let's go to Attorney Cross. Let's go to Dale. There he is. Come on up. Okay, well, Why did I invite you here?
to discuss the concrete barricades at the health department,
So
what we wanted to
Dale
do with the.
came to me yesterday or the day before and said, remember we've talked about the parking lot at the health department. There are some brick pillars that have chains strung between them to try to block off our parking lot from the alley in particular, and those have been knocked down and are deteriorating to the point where they're not usable. I talked to Mike Sharp. He does have some of the highway concrete barriers that you see dividing lanes on interstates when they're doing work, and apparently at one point they were set up over there, and for some reason they were taken down. You want to know the reason?
I know the reason.
So I talked to Mike to make sure he had some of those still. He does, but they're not in very good shape. He did tell me though that there are some of the local concrete companies, when they come back to the plant with partial loads of concrete, they make big blocks of concrete. In fact, that's what Mike said they use for the base of the salt barns. So they're just a big block of concrete that could potentially be used, and they're at a reasonable price, and they're new. They're not all beat up. So one of those questions is, do we just take down what's there because it's laying on the ground most of the time?
Yeah, and the do we really need to have it blocked off?
I spoke with Dan a few weeks ago when this first came up, and he's like, it's not been an issue. 'Cause supposedly the issue was people were going through the parking lot to park in their parking spots on those houses along there, and customers and staff were almost being hit. He says, but now, like, you know, they take the chain down coming into the weekend, but during the week they don't go through there. But if there's nothing there,
Yeah, are they doing it that way?
and I said for a
because they
safety
are
issue, we
chains?
probably need something there to keep the people visiting the health department from getting hit.
Exactly.
You know, if they're not paying any attention. He didn't seem to think it was a problem if they had something that could be attached for the weekend to let them go through on the weekend, but during the week. So those concrete barriers would work.
And you put a chain.
Put a
between
chain
them.
on him with a little, and then Monday morning he goes there and puts them back up. So if,
Well, let's get Mike to investigate. a
what
little
do you
I
think?
think we should take down what's there now.
Yeah,
because
I
it's-
agree.
it's
We
falling
actually
apart.
went over and seen at one time 2 kids, they were standing in the middle of the chains to knock them over. And it's just a safety concern for them, because if they knock them over in themselves, they're gonna get hurt.
And those wooden barricades that are over there, I say half the county highway, go ahead and take them.
Yeah, get rid of those two because they park the
Just
van there.
yeah.
So
Well, let's, if you're in agreement, we'll have Dale go ahead and get rid of what's there.
Yep.
put them in the back of your van.
I can't, it's got flat
It's got
tires.
flat tires. I mean, he can put it in the back, but he can't take it.
He can't go anywhere.
So, remove what's there. We'll get with Mike and have him pick up the wood barricades, and then we'll ask him to do a little further investigation on how many of those things we might need and how much they cost. Steve, any other thoughts there?
You know, it's interesting, you see, as different department heads change, because the previous department head over there, this was like the sky was falling.
Very important issue, yes.
You know, it is, I think the question has to be asked, is it really an issue that needs to be addressed? But
Dan didn't seem to think that it was
Well,
high priority, but
we may find out in the next week or so when
Yeah, that's right.
when Dale takes the stuff down.
Right.
I think it warrants something better than the highway dividers of concrete things. Those are ugly, and you know we're not at a military base here, so.
Could be. So go ahead and take down what's
All right.
there.
We'll do that.
We'll be in touch. Thank
All right,
you.
thanks.
Let us know if there are any incidents after you do that.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Dale.
Okay, Mr. Cross.
On camera, the witness, I will present you with a copy of the transmittal to item and the commissioner of our WR documents that affect
Okay, I'm
document
gonna,
the
on
dissolution.
camera, present these to Bobby. Did you want to see?
Chain of custody is maintained. And again, we've got a commissioner of item that I think, appointed in the
2 weeks ago.
last week or
Last
2
week.
weeks ago sometime. And I don't know what to expect, and so we'll just have to wait and see.
So, from your perspective, Ron, WUR no longer exists after the actions we've taken, or?
As a legal entity, it does not. Legal entities that do not exist under, whether they're LLCs, in this case, statutory creation of have an obligation to have rights to wind down their affairs, which is kind of what you will be doing once we divided the resources and allocated the liabilities. So that remains to be done. Getting in the weeds about how you're going to do it, I guess my feeling would be the sooner the better to get the monies distributed, get the accounts closed, and then we can go from there.
Speaking of that, can you pass one down, Ron, please? So I just got this from Kara, who is the financial officer for WUR. This is where we're at, so there's one of these checks still outstanding, check number 3652 in the amount of $256.20, which means that if you add that back in instead of the $71,231.66, we have $71,487.86. But that check I delivered by hand last Thursday to Western Wayne News, and I can't imagine that they won't deposit it sometime this week to pay for the ad that's running about the e-waste recycling in a couple of weeks at So this number at the bottom, 208-192-43, plus on the back of this page, we have a $50,000 CD, gets us to 258-243, which is the balance in all accounts, although I'm not sure whether we have the ability to get to the CD at this point. So
It didn't mature until,
until like September or
yeah,
something.
September 10th,
26.
25.
25. Yeah.
Okay, and then you'll have your money market account drawing interest up to the town council. This is very similar to what we've encountered when we administer receipts estates, and you've got an estate account open that you've got to pay bills, and it always involves two steps. We'll do the final accounting, and then there will be transactions that come in afterwards, and we pick them up in what's known as a supplemental. Conceptually, I think you're going to go in two steps. You're going to divide what you've got and the balances you have, and then those that come in later, there may be a small adjustment that you have to make as far as the finances.
I guess I would prefer if we can say, this is how much we have now, and go ahead and pay 10% of that to Union County.
And like I say, you may have a small,
adjustment at some point.
That would be the way, and then of course the items of personal property, tangible personal property, that they should be.
Barry Ritter is actually meeting with the staff tomorrow to clarify what we did in terms of disseminating the tangible equipment and supplies. So, we've identified what goes where, and right now it's all at the Soil and Water Office. So it's just a matter of bringing back here what we're going to keep for the recycling
For the
program.
recycling program and education.
Exactly. And then we talked this morning, as you recall, with council about the possibility of transferring a part-time employee who's currently listed as an employee under WUR, and their salary is budgeted from the general fund under, I'm sorry, I said WUR when I meant Soil and Water. And so the thought is that we would transfer the part-time employee and the line item in the budget that pays that part-time employee to the commissioner's office, at least for the time being, and begin unwinding what we have over there in Soil and Water. We have a meeting scheduled for next Wednesday afternoon with council, myself, Soil and Water representatives, and a representative from the Richmond Sanitary District to begin the discussions or continue the discussions on how we unwind what is there and how we position ourselves for 2026 and beyond. So I'm hopeful that we can get that all ironed out next week. But in the meantime, remember that Kara is, her last day working for Wayne County government is Friday. So
She's current on her.
she is, but
payment.
I would like for them to go ahead and cut checks, one for Union County and one for Wayne County, and then we leave the CD where it's at for now, and we'll come back and resolve that when we figure out how to get to those dollars.
And you got a money market account that you can close out anytime too.
Correct. So, are we comfortable taking that action? You don't see any issues with that?
Not that I can predict.
Well,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else
we
we
have,
can
we
do.
have complete agreement from Union County Commissioners.
Well, I mean, I think
Completely
Union
on
County's
board.
been fine to work with. I guess it's the uncertainty of whether Item thinks we've done everything we should have done.
And
That's
we
a
won't
new
know that for,
commissioner,
could be months before we know.
Years.
and we had the prior commissioner, and we still had that uncertainty because
Right.
this is not a
It's
frequent
probably not something that happens every day.
Right.
Is there a support budget of what this part-time person does with respect to the job? I mean, office supplies.
There will be, but first we have to move the money from WUR to Wayne County government. And until we do that, we can't appropriate any money.
But there is support, there's money to support what this person
Well,
does.
there's $225,000 that we can budget however we want to,
Buy a lot of pens.
as long as it supports recycling directly.
Okay.
And that's what we will do. That plus, we'll ask you to pay for some of it out of your budget.
That's where I was
just
going with
for
the question.
There's ample money for 2025. It will not impact you in any way except that you will be the direct supervisor for that position when we take that step. So what I'm looking for is a motion to approve two checks. One check to Union County for their 10% of our current assets of WUR, and the balance minus the CD to be written to Wayne County government and to be deposited into a Wayne County recycling.
That's what I was gonna ask,
Fund.
where we're putting that, we're not just,
We'll have to create the
Create
Wayne
the
County
The
Recycling
plan
Fund.
was to do that in the workshop as far as create the count, or?
I think probably the auditor's office can create the fund, and then we can figure out appropriating it. And Bobby's gonna advertise the appropriation once we have
We know
a number. So, and we don't even have to have an exact number, we just have to have a not to exceed number.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion,
I'll second.
we have a second. Any further discussion? Bobby, are you clear on the motion? All right. Ron, anything to add before we vote?
Good luck.
That does not instill a lot
No,
of
you
confidence in
don't.
me.
You
Boy,
don't
that
wanna
made
hear
our
that from
attorney
your
saying,
attorney.
"Good luck."
Wow, that made me feel
But do
good.
they conduct any public meetings that have to be streamed?
We do not conduct any public meetings going forward. We have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. All right, Ron, what else have you got for us?
I've been working with the auditor on unusual situations involving special assessments. The file that gave rise to his question, I think we resolved this morning, and I think everybody has their head around what happened, and it actually was appropriate, involving unsafe building liens attachment and how you handle those. We also have sewer, weed liens, what have you. I think it's probably just going to be getting with him and getting into the files on a case-by-case basis until he and his office seem to have a familiarity with things. I talked about it a few with the lady I talked with this morning, but she very definitely did. I mean, she understood exactly why this unsafe building lien. It was a weird set of circumstances. The property was up for tax sale. The unsafe building lien had been recorded in various stages 3 or 4 times prior, notices of hearing, demands for payment, what have you. Those get literally recorded, and they are then therefore constructive notice. And the statute basically says anyone who takes an interest in a property that is subject to that process at any point after the recording of that takes their interest subject to. So it's very clear. So what had happened was before the tax sale, a third party wanted to buy the property, redeemed it. Whether that person had standing or not is an issue I don't want to go get into. My advice is always take the money and run and let them worry about it. And so, unfortunately, he kind of got caught in the middle. But at the end of the day, it is a lien on the property, and it's not a personal liability of the successor owner, but it is a lien on the property. So if the property would go up for tax sale if that lien isn't paid on the May installment, which we could put it into October. So because I think we talked last week, and the issues, the city ought to tell us. There was nothing for the city to tell us at this point. They don't handle the tax sales. They don't have any dog in that fight. They, meanwhile, they have the process they do, and it is laden with opportunities to put on the public record the fact that this process has begun.
So as long as it's on the public record, it is the purchaser's responsibility to uncover that and to.
In theory, if you had had a title search done of that property before you paid that to redeem it, you should have picked up at that point what it was. Now, it wasn't the final. There's a final one that's done after the hearings, and if, of course, not all the hearings have to be requested by a party of interest, and usually aren't, then they issue a final order, and that's what happened in this case. And we were talking about $4,215, which is not an inconsequential amount of money. So there's nothing that the city could have told us because there was no reason for them to know that us had anything to do with it. We didn't. It was a private quitclaim deed from the owner of the property that allowed the taxes to go to the buyer of the property, who redeemed them for the taxes. did not pay that lien, even though it later became certified under tax rules. So we'll deal with it. Sewer liens are a little different. There's a provision that innocent purchasers are protected if it's not recorded, if they're not recorded. And even if they get on, there's a form for a demand letter to release, and I've done that before for private clients. It's pretty simple. So we can deal with that, and I think, I guess the good news was, I was concerned maybe originally, I think in one of the emails I said, I think the auditor's office did not properly process that lien notice, so they did, they put it on the tax statement. It's still not clear why it was on the spring and not on the fall, but I think we understand where we are now going forward.
Okay.
And then, I don't know why, in some context, you were concerned about, and I did look up the case that seemed to address the ability of the sheriff to contract that was decided by the Court of Appeals in 23, I believe.
Right.
Very narrow case, very, very, very narrow. Dealt only with commissary fund, dealt with bad facts. Sheriff had his wife as the appointed commissary officer, created a limited liability company that he and his wife owned over a 2.5-year period, deferred about $150,000 out of the commissary fund to that limited liability company for management of the commissary fund and related expenses. State Board of Accounts objected to it. The Indiana State Police were investigating it. So the commissioners felt like they had their back to the wall, so they filed for declaratory judgment. And the opinion basically just said the sheriff has limited rights of contract and didn't really go much farther than that. So it was a case of bad fact, not making bad law. Very, very constrained opinion by the Court of Appeals. Commissioners dismissed their complaint. They just felt like they had to file it. So at the end of the day, I don't think there's anything that is stated in here that, as familiar as I am with what I think we're doing in Wayne County, gives me much pause. I encourage the sheriff to take a look at the commissary fund. You recall it was almost like a rite of passage in January when Capo was sheriff. That
Right.
First action taken by the county council was a resolution reaffirming and, if necessary, creating new uses for the commissary fund,
Right.
as to the extent they were foreseen at that time.
Right.
So I think we're good to go. I don't see anything there that causes me real concern.
Okay. Anything else?
I don't think so. We got a petition for judicial review filed for the unsuccessful use variance petition that was filed for the East Step Road property related to usage of metal storage containers for storage of
Fireworks.
non-commercial grade fireworks, personal usage,
Not the big ones.
not the big ones.
Okay.
And I've appeared for that, and we'll take that one step at a time, see where they are. I was going to ask, there's a motion to stay up the BZA's order denying it, and that motion is a little loosely worded, so I'm going to talk to some people that live out there to make sure that the owner is not doing more than what he was doing at the time the BZA order ended, which was basically nothing, but he had 2 containers that had materials in them, and occasionally he would use his to take some up to his outlet in Liberty, but no more semis coming in refilling it.
Okay.
So he shouldn't be doing any more than that. If they are, then I'm going to have a court hearing on that.
Okay.
Is that part of the additional fees that council was looking at this morning? Or, I can't remember.
I don't believe so.
Contracted services, I wasn't sure.
I don't think so. Councilman Ritter asked me to ask you about have you made progress on interlocal agreements between the county and the fire departments and localities on the radios and pagers that we're purchasing.
That was the gap I didn't have.
We have the equipment now. So I think Mr. Ritter is ready to move to the distribution phase as soon as we're.
Conceptually, we're going to give them
Position to
the
do
units they work for, and the units they work for will allocating revenues.
Correct.
So I just need to break down the
to get that. They've been working together on.
And I'm sure they can give me
determining
the
what.
magic numbers of the radios with the, the model numbers and all that stuff.
Right, okay. Okay, thank you.
And we're all set on the RFP for the inmate contract, health and medical.
For the health,
I gave Bobby the RFP that we looked at and approved
yeah,
last week, which is very, very vanilla. But the key within, first of all, she gets somebody who wants to see what turned out to be the specifications. Prepared him, got him to the sheriff, and night before last, I guess it was, he looked at him and said he was fine. He just wanted to make sure that there wasn't any reduction in level of service. And I said, well, I don't think there is, but I don't know. You know, so you looked at him, he did, and he was fine with that. And I said, we'll have to then incorporate the nuances of those into the actual contract with the people. But we'll see. It's 2 years, and we're taking proposals on the 16th.
April 16th, okay.
I knew it was tight.
Tight. It's tighter than I'd like to make it. I'd like to breathe a couple more weeks into it. But we'll see. You know, our last number was about 839,000.
It's gonna be a big number.
Now, we did lower the expected maximum inmate population to reflect more realistically what they experienced, not just immediately pre-COVID and COVID, which definitely impacted, because you had the courts holding back on incarcerations, and you had the state not taking them and leaving them here, so there was a kind of cross purposes. But we were at 325, I think, in the prior contract. We're going down to 250 as an average day.
So that's gonna help.
That adjusts,
Sure.
and we allow for adjustments quarterly basis based upon true average daily.
Okay, good.
We'll just see.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Steve. You got anything for us today? You're up.
So back to your project list, a little bit more definitive information on the generator.
Project that just keeps on giving.
Yeah. So as we stand today, the existing generator is in the system, and it is the backup system to the commercial power, and it is hooked through the automatic transfer switch. So should there be a power outage, our existing generator will kick in for backup power.
This is our 50-year-old generator.
Pardon me?
This is our 50-year-old existing generator,
It was
as you said.
great.
That has been. The new generator, which is isolated from the system by that manual transfer switch, is not run. They believe, the Generac representatives, the maintenance folks for the new generator, believes that it is a panel board that controls the start of it. There is one, they've got it on order from Generac, and it is to arrive between anytime between now and April 9th. And then they are scheduling the startup and the commission of the generator and the switchgear the week of April 14th. So I sent general information out to Matthew and the Sheriff's Department. One of the issues at hand was the mobile command center. They've got it scheduled to be wrapped, and they wanted to know if they could pull it away and be relatively safe, and I think so based upon everything that I know. Although I think you did suggest they leave it through this storm.
Right.
Just as a safe side. And then Alan came back yesterday, and I don't remember the time frame that he thought it would take to get it wrapped.
I thought he said
About 10 days, I thought.
So-
7 to 10 days.
So that'll just about time out right for the 14th if we need to bring it back.
I guess the good thing about a rack, it's not like a pain in it, so if
Yeah.
half of it's done,
Yeah,
Right.
you can pull it out and say, hey, we need it.
yeah.
Exactly.
So that's the status of the generator.
So the question I have about the generator issue with the new one, are we getting some kind of extended warranty?
Yeah, the warranty hasn't started yet.
I know, but I mean, so it's not started, but are they gonna, I'm worried about, I mean, now that we've had issues with this one, I mean, is there any long-term?
You know, and I don't know off the top of my head what the warranty is in part of the bid.
I mean, now we're buying a refurbished one. I mean, that's what I think of it. You go in, you buy a refurbished, you get a discount, or
However, I have checked around for other entities to service the warranty, and we can do that. So I feel pretty comfortable that we'll be okay. I don't think that's an issue. It might be, but at this point, I'm not ready.
yeah, I wouldn't guarantee it on this
understand.
project.
I'm going to be like Craig, and
Yeah, that's what Craig said.
Or you can just say, good luck, like our attorney did.
yeah, that's true. And then the courthouse front entrance, you saw that they put up the construction fence, and they put it up in an area that was blocking our handicap parking. Although we know we're going to have to move the handicap parking, but we didn't want to move it. We wanted a little more notice than they gave us. So the fencing has been moved away from that, so the parking is existing. We have a pre-construction meeting tomorrow, and we'll talk through all those things. You heard Jeff this morning to council present a change order, and I put a copy of that in front of you. This is change order number 1 for the project, and the first 2 lines are deducts from the overall bid, so that they don't put that ramp and entry on the south end of the courthouse. Then 3 and 4 are the cost of using the front entrance. And the biggest thing there is, and in fairness, they didn't realize, and there was nothing to disclose, that there is a 4-inch bed of concrete underneath the bricks out there that will be required to be demoed. So that is the additional amount found in item number 4. So the total change order is $11,038.50. And I obviously recommend that we accept that change order.
Yeah, I like I think it was a good thing that we changed that to the main entrance. It saves us $5,500 there. So that big chunk of 4-inch concrete doesn't sting as bad.
Yeah, that's true.
So with that being said, I'll make a motion that we approve change order number 1 for the entrance project to the courthouse.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
And then on the courthouse elevator, the second thing that Jeff talked about this morning was the cost of that quote that we received. You folks approved this, was made aware of this last week. And I think your motion was subject to council funding that, so I don't think you need any extra on that. But the quote was for $6,657.60. And now that the money's in place, we can go ahead and get that scheduled and get that going. And that'll take place on a weekend. And Dale will coordinate with that particular office, the occupant of that particular office to be in there during that, because they'll have some confidential information they'll need to secure before they're in that office.
Okay.
So I don't think you need any extra action on that, because you've already approved that subject to the council funding. And that's all I have on the projects. This is a note. They've started installing decals on the cars. Did you get a chance to take a look at them?
I noticed it as soon as I pulled in this morning. It looked good.
You know, they look better than I thought they were going to. I didn't want to tell Jeff that.
They look good, especially on the, I think on the white vehicle.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I thought they looked really good. I mean,
So they're taking several at a time and installing those. So we're starting with the building grounds and the pool cars, and then we'll move on to the health department and so on and so forth. So,
And I know we've discussed it, but I definitely agree moving forward, we ought to consider whenever we purchase a car be white. Because those decals do look
I think
really
a lot of those cars that were not white, we just bought because they were available.
Yes.
during
Correct.
COVID, correct?
Yes.
I don't think we've got, I think the ones we've got though, it'll be okay on them.
Are the 2 vans that we have,
They're white.
they're white?
Yeah.
I couldn't
The
remember if
the
they're
only
white or
colored, the
silver.
only colored cars that I've had, I've got a silver one, which will look fine on, and a kind of I call it burnt orange, but they call it sunset, I think is what the color of it is. It's kind of an orangey color. It's a Ford Fusion pool car. And then we have the silver nitro. That'll look good on that.
That'll look good on that. People will be lining up.
To drive the nitro.
I'll bet they would.
And then the last thing I have, or actually the next to last, is the deed sale property list, which you have in front of you. And our committee met last week to go through these. I tried to put notes next to each one of them about what the potential disposition of that property looks like. At the end of the discussion, we could end up with just a handful of properties that would be in the sale, so then that begs the question, do you have the sale?
I've got a couple of updates.
Yeah,
Let's
Jeff,
just go
I know
through
you've
it.
talked to the mayor since that time, so.
Yes. So let's just go through the list, 1 through 18. So number 1 is in the sale, if we have a sale. Number 2,
Do we know if it's improved or unimproved?
all of these are unimproved, are they not?
There's, in there 2 that's got structures on them.
Okay.
I thought those were the 2 that had
Unsafe building.
unsafe building orders that were going to be
No,
taken down.
yeah. Number 2.
Mm-hmm.
and
Number 7,
number
number 12.
Yeah.
Just because that doesn't necessarily mean there's a structure on
It
it.
could have been already just removed, but has to leave it.
And looking at the list and remember that we attach $100 to it if it's a vacant lot, and
Right.
500. And looking at the list, there's only 2 on here. Actually, I don't see any.
That's what I thought.
I thought
But I
they
thought
were
Matt,
all.
when Matt went out to take pictures,
Well, we can double check. That's kind of irrelevant
Yeah.
at this point. So, number 2, Butler Street, the city would like for us to convey that property to them, and they will convey it to,
there's 2 of them that's got structures on them. There's the address.
105 North J.
Butler Street. Butler's the one that conveyed this one, right?
That's, yes, but that's the one that also has one of the ones that has an unsafe building.
Did you get that one?
What?
Butler Street, 1226 Butler Street, is the improvement. 1505 North J.
Yeah, but number 2,
Number
the city wants this to
2 and
convey
To them,
to them.
yes. The same with number 3. Number 4 is a vacant lot that would be in the sale or could be in the sale.
Stop for, can we go back to the 2 so 2 and 3, the city wants us to convey to them?
Correct.
Okay. Are we gonna get any kind of agreement with them, or so that we're not?
We
stuck with
can if we agree with it, yeah. If we agree today that we'll convey it, we'll get them to put something together. So number 4 is in the sale, number 5, they would like for it to be conveyed to them. The same with number 6. Number 7 is another one that has a building on it, that has an unsafe building order. So our thinking was to not put that in the sale.
But they don't want to take title just yet.
Correct, they do not want title. Number 8 would go into the sale. Number 9 would be conveyed to the city. Number 10 is a across the street from the city's street department. But they said it's a very small lot and they don't believe they have a use for it. So that, raises the question, how small is the lot? Do we want to put it in the sale and run the risk of nobody buying it? Do we want to try to convey it to an adjacent property owner? But at the moment, number 10 would be listed as in the sale. Number 11, the city would like to have that. Number 12 would not go in the sale. There is an unsafe building order on that property and the city does not want it. Number 13 would be conveyed to the city. Number 14 would be conveyed to the city. Number 15 would be conveyed to the city. Number 16 is a vacant lot, and we discussed in our committee meeting that removing that from the sale, it is surrounded by property owned by a church, and we thought we would see if the church had an interest in that being conveyed to them. Now, one of the questions would be how we would do that. Could we convey it to a church, or would we need to offer it to them as an abutting, an adjacent property owner, since they own all the property around it?
Okay, go with the budding owner
Okay,
procedures.
They're
Okay.
abutting on both sides.
correct.
It just means you don't want to give that much notice.
Yeah. And then number 17 is a 1 foot wide strip of ground that somehow got separated from the original parcel, and it's currently, no one owns it.
So remember, this ended up on the tax rolls because a previous treasurer started putting all these unknown properties on the tax rolls.
Correct.
There was nobody to receive the tax bill, so it came up delinquent, and that's how it got to the stage. Remember, we had a couple of these in years past, and the assessor can create some form to remove that from that. And I talked to the treasurer today, and she believes that we could do that with this property. It could go back into that oblivion pile, if you will. There would be no name on it.
Or we could try to give it to the owner of the parcel that it originally came off of. So apparently there was one big parcel, and when they split them, it was
Mayor in the survey or something.
well, it was in the legal description
Yeah.
apparently. So it was originally, let's say, 121 feet
It was
wide.
it was 80 feet. Remember, it was 80, both parcels were 40 foot. And so when they did the legal description, it came up 41 feet.
So
But that 1
I
foot.
think it was 41. It was 82 feet or 81 feet.
Okay, whatever. And
They were both listed at 40 feet, and
Yeah.
the 1 foot in the middle didn't get.
Can't we just give it to somebody?
Uh,
one of the
That's what I think. We don't put it in the sale, and we see if we can't give it to one of the adjacent property owners.
Which one's that, 17?
That is number 17, and then number 18 would go into the sale.
so from that,
5 in the sale.
Right.
And what's,
And remember that number 11 and number 13 are properties on Main Street where the city tore down 2 adjacent buildings, and it looks like it's 1 parcel now, but it's actually 2. And the intention then would be to transfer that to the city, and they can decide if they want to make it green space or a parking lot, or convey it to the property owners on either side somehow.
So the city's looking at taking
Yeah, 11 and 13.
What have we
9
decided?
properties.
Oh, yes, a bunch of them.
Did they say, did we ask what they're with them?
They
On
have,
the tax, back on the tax roll?
they will. And so remember that as part of Ready, they are in line to be funded for infill housing.
Oh, that's right.
And so these would then be conveyed by the city to these infill housing developers that are not-for-profits.
What did we decide on number 10?
Number 10,
In sale, the city
Yes.
on the lot?
Yeah.
well, and again, we need to decide, are we having a sale for five vacant
5
lots?
things, right?
My concern is that
6 lots.
I don't
Five.
really want to end up with the county owning 5 vacant lots that we have to. Maintain.
Hire somebody to go.
I say we don't, for only 5, and
And this,
then look next year if we have a similar 5 and we have 10, then it makes,
and the city is fine with that, from my conversation with them yesterday.
Does that mean they would go put a weed lien on, or what?
Well, they might, but, if we go back through the process.
we eliminate them anyhow, right? So-
Exactly.
So it doesn't matter, I mean, if they wanna go through the process of doing that
It's just
themselves.
paperwork.
As long as they do it in a timely manner.
I say, I would suggest not doing a sale and go ahead and convey these 9 properties to the city, get them off our back, and
And that would give us, not having to sell would give us a little more time to get the agreement together. The city seems to always need a little time to get the paperwork going.
Do we need a motion?
so what happens, cause we still, Reddy's in limbo, right?
Correct, but.
So what happens if
Valerie-
that doesn't go through?
Valerie and Sarah were at that meeting, and they believe that, that things are moving, although they're moving slowly. And the city was perfectly fine with us conveying them to them.
So we need to
Without
hurry up and convey
understanding.
it to them so they can have them and then we don't have
Exactly.
to worry about it.
Exactly.
So we don't wanna slow down too much is my whole point.
Right,
Well, we won't slow our side down.
right. So we just, I think there are.
Ready, it's all contingent on Ready.
9 properties, correct, for city?
I think so.
So that
includes 11 and 13.
Right. 9 properties, right, Brad, is that what you count? That's what I count, that's what Jeff counts.
The city?
9
For
to
the
the
city,
city.
right, is that correct, Rob?
I've got 2, 3, 5, 6, 9, 10,
No, not 10, 10's going to the sale.
9, excuse me, 11, 13, 14, 15.
Correct. I concur.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion that we convey those to the city.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. So we probably need to.
Do we have does anybody have handy a calendar for the deed sale that Mark had prepared?
No, a calendar for the deed sale that Mark had.
Well, no, where we are, I don't want to incur any more expenses like the advertising or
Right,
deed
Oh,
searching.
no, it's set for the 17th of April.
yes.
So everything's done.
Simona, would you tell Selena that, because she asked me this morning, that I would give her this information, so we're not gonna have the deed sale.
I will tell her if I see her.
So we need to communicate that with S,
And that's what Selena,
SRI,
Yeah.
S.
that's what she wanted to know.
Okay, okay. All right, we probably need to post on the building that the deed sale has been canceled. Okay. All right, what else have you got,
And
Steve?
then just remember, you have the fleet safety policy still hanging out there that you might.
All the fleet safety.
And we did get information from Mike Shaw. Steve says it is identical to the county's policy. And then I do not have yet, last time I checked my email, anything from the sheriff's department. I did talk to Randy, and he
put it to bed and move on.
Seems to be like then that the sheriff's office would be the only exception to the policy. And then we need to just note in the policy that it applies to everyone except the sheriff.
Well, remember, the health department has one portion of theirs that's more restrictive about use of personal cars, remember?
It can be more restricted. It just
That's what I'm
can't be
saying,
less restricted.
they have the ones more restrictive.
So our policy would apply to the health department.
Yes.
So we do have their copy of theirs. Is it, so they're the only three departments outside of us that have a
And
policy. Okay, thank you.
okay, what else have you got, Steve?
That's all I got.
All right, I've got several additional things. As soon as I wade through this and find my paperwork. First thing we need to talk about is we have two requests for proclamations. One, you recall, is from Every Child Can Read.
Yep.
And that.
Is that the one from Robin?
That's from Robin Henry. And she put together a sample of what that might look like. And then the other is from
All of it.
the Indiana Civil War governor, the National Society Daughters of the Union, the Oliver P. Morton chapter. So it's kind of like the Daughters of the American Revolution, only it focuses on the Civil War era. They are having an event, excuse me, on April the 12th at 1 o'clock at the Oliver P. Morton House in Centerville, and have asked that we present something at that time. So we have a very rough draft, and this is a week from Saturday, so we need to, if we approve it, figure out the exact language and get it put together. Any thoughts on those two things?
I make a motion we approve both proclamations and elect the president to construct those proclamations and
Thank you. You didn't want to make that motion that the vice president
Nope.
would do that?
I made the motion exactly how I wanted it.
Okay, I was just checking, just checking, just to confirm.
Nice.
Hate to presuppose anything. There
I'll
is a
second that.
motion and a second, and then that included that the president would assign one of the commissioners to attend those events and read the
As long as
proclamations.
it's the president attending, yes.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
Except I think it should be the president because he fixed the fingers
He did fix the fingers.
He did.
That is a true
and paid
statement.
for it himself, so it's only appropriate for you to attend.
There you go.
Other than that, no.
So that points out something. There was some discussion about, people know that we have a statue of Oliver P. Morton, which is a copy of the statue in the Capitol building in Washington, D.C. And so there's some thought that some of the attendees on the 12th might like to come to the courthouse and view our statue. So I'm thinking that if we did that, it would probably require having somebody from courthouse security there to open the door, kind of
What day is it
maintain
on?
things. It's
Saturday.
Saturday the 12th, which is a week from Saturday. So, or maybe a reserve officer available to join the president.
I'm already working that day, so that's why I was looking.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll.
That's the
we'll cross
Easter
that
egg at the
bridge.
safety village.
Oh,
I think if the president of the commissioners let him in the building, that'd be fine too. I don't think he needs security.
Okay.
I would agree.
We didn't vote on that yet, did we?
No.
All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. This
You give me
is,
two.
that's all right, you can have two.
Oh, wow, that's nice.
Better give one to Ron. So this is how we currently view the appointments to the Board of Health. And you'll see there that there are columns, so the mayor appoints on this, it's Mark Broker. And the commissioners currently are appointing all the rest, so I'm recommending that we give the appointment authority, since we couldn't find where we had done that in the past, that Jeff Butler's term ends on 12/31 of 25, and that slot would be a recommendation from the county council.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Now, let's not lose this one.
Let's not lose this one.
That's right.
So, Bobby, this little blue circle, that means that the council has that appointment, so can you put that in your official records, please? That would be awesome. Okay. Steve, any update on the Prox card project? No. Should we be, while they're doing installation, should we be proceeding with setting up a policy and buying the equipment and the cards, whatever kind of film or things are necessary?
Yes.
Okay. And so,
You'll have a policy to look at probably next week.
I thought we talked about that a couple weeks ago.
Mhm.
And then I would suggest that, have we got bids for the printer?
no, I think we
We
should.
might wanna do that, and I would suggest, since this was our project, using our contingency fund to pay for that.
Really?
Yeah.
I like that. That's a good idea.
I agree.
Okay. So we will,
Is that a motion? Do we need a motion?
well, we don't.
Well, let's get the prices first.
If it's
Because Steve's gonna go out and find the most
$25,001,
expensive one.
we won't be able to.
Yeah. Let's see what Steve finds first, is that what you're saying?
Yes,
Fair.
yes.
Okay.
Okay.
You know what that means?
Okay, so we've got that. Internal controls. What's our update there?
I don't have one.
No update? Okay. Let's devote some attention to that. I'll get with you yet this week and we'll put something together. I would like to have something in place before the audit team comes in for 2024. WUR, we've already done some of the work there, but just as a reminder, Barry is meeting with the.
Well, I take that back. We have been, remember we are.
I had moved on, had you?
Well-
You wanna interrupt me
Yeah.
and, okay.
We have been doing internal control training
Yes.
for, and we do have that on Know Before, so we do have a list of all those employees who have taken that required training available.
And we have the rudiments of the policy.
Correct.
Just need to flesh it out a little bit.
Yeah, yep.
And several of the departments have their own policies
Yep.
in place. This would be kind of an overarching policy for the county for, particularly as it relates to folks who irregularly take money for some purpose, just to make sure that they're following state guidelines and county policy. So let's focus on that and get that completed. The insurance, we're going health insurance, we'll be hearing from Dunn on the 28th. Is it the
Kim told me that it's a couple weeks.
23rd? 3 weeks from today.
23rd.
3 weeks from today, 23rd, Wednesday the 23rd. So Kathy Dunn will be here with her staff to give us an update. But we've been holding fairly steady in our reserves for the health insurance, somewhere between $3.2 and $3.5 million. So we're in very good shape there. But on the casualty insurance side, we're coming up on the time to renew our policies.
Renewal, yeah.
So remember, all of our insurance renews July 1, both health insurance and casualty. So last year, I think we went through a fairly exhaustive process, and Lions rebid and sent stuff out to several different insurers. Ron, any thoughts on how frequently that more exhaustive process needs to take place? I know we went for years without going through that process in the past, but I mean, we did it just last year. Is there anything we need to do for this upcoming renewal?
I guess I thought that was part of Lions' requirement to get the best possible,
Price,
to see who was gonna bid on it, first of all.
Right,
So I think that's probably gonna be an annual thing now.
I think. 'Cause we haven't heard-
Does it include, or, I can't remember what that policy covers besides casualty? Is that part of our workers' comp also?
Yes,
Yes.
yeah, they do workers' comp,
So it's a general business?
yeah.
I can double check with Lions, but I'm pretty sure that they're gonna require us to do that.
Well,
Cause it's changing, it's evolving
I
every,
know, and last year was.
and I don't think
terrible.
any insurance company is gonna say, well, we wanna see all the,
So my point is, it's April, we haven't heard anything, I haven't heard anything from Lions about requesting information, have you, Bobby? So let's do
I'll
follow
check
up
to
and say,
I think it's appropriate, you know, if you go to that rock and say, you know, what are you finding out there? Because
right,
I cannot believe that market's any softer than this year than
it was
last
last
year.
I agree, that's what I'm concerned about.
Yeah, I think we all are.
Particularly, with the unknowns about what kind of changes to property tax and other revenue streams might be taking place if we have a big jump in our insurance program. That could
I can reach out
challenge.
to Lions and see.
That'd be good.
I'm sure they're on it, but
If you would, but I've got to contact him with Anita, so if I make it for you, I'll just go to.
he's not
just go
there
ahead
this
and-
week, so
Well, they weren't there last week.
Danita's there.
Anita's there this week, that's my day.
Yeah.
I mean, I wanted to find out if.
Cause Mike really doesn't do anything. It's-
Yeah,
It's all Danita.
Yeah.
I wanted
She's
to find
the one
out
that
if
takes
there
care
were
of
reservation
policies.
rights applicable to a wrongful death case.
Okay,
That's-
so if you guys follow up with
Yep.
that.
One of us will get with them.
Okay. Just an FYI, there are significant revisions to the bills that are proposed and still moving forward in both the House and the Senate. We will, I'll be on some calls on Friday with the Legislative Affairs Committee for both AIC and the Commissioners Association. So I'll share an update with you after that meeting. But there have been some things moving forward, and I got a written update this week that I'll forward to you in case you haven't gotten it. I think all the commissioners received it statewide, but I'll make sure I forward it to you just to make sure. One of those things that's changing significantly is House Bill 1461, which is the road funding bill. So there are significant changes from significant issues that'll be facing us, and there's, what, 3 weeks, less than 3 weeks?
27 more days.
Yeah, so, things are gonna start coming at us fast and furious, and I think always be prepared to contact our legislators to, share with them any thoughts that you have on what's happening and where we hope it might go. Not to say that that's where it'll end up, but, if we
You share
don't,
the contact information, cause I gotta bounce back when I send something to Brett.
sure, be happy to. Okay. We have someone from DLZ here. Anything you have to share with us?
Got no presentations.
Okay. Aaron, do you want to get into the minutes and the claims?
Yes. I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes dated March 26, 2025 for the Board of Commissioners meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Sorry. This was a hold over page from the March 26th meeting.
Yes, it just stays
Just,
with the minutes.
just put it together with it. Okay,
Yes.
perfect. I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And then I would like to make a motion to approve the following claims: Dunflex and garnishments, payroll, per federal payroll tax, quarterly payroll deductions, United Way, FOP dues, Republican Party, and sheriff retirement. I didn't give you the dates on these, I apologize. Dunflex is April 4th, payroll is April 4th, perf, and federal payroll tax is April 4th, quarterly payroll, deductions is March 31st. State payroll taxes dated March 26th, Boston Mutual payroll deductions dated March 26th, and general claims dated April 2nd. I'd like to make a motion to approve those, please.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the claims. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Anything else, Aaron?
That is all I have, thank you.
Brad, do you have anything?
We got the vehicle policy from the sheriff. I just got an email. So
Okay.
we have that.
Good.
And then we also got an email from the health department, Dan, about data for the needle exchange, because we're gonna have to put that on our agenda in the next couple weeks.
We will. Okay.
Other than that, no.
All right, thank you. Bobby? Steve, anything else? Simona, anything? No? Ron, anything else?
Nothing.
All right. Thank you all very much. We're adjourned.